Martine says, I'm getting to that point of allowing myself to be angry. I'm so scared of my anger for some reason. And it's easier to be mad at myself. I really hate that. That's really insightful. That's really insightful. And I think probably a lot of people feel that way. Because it's scary. It can be really scary to start to feel that anger. Because it can, I think for a lot of people, it's that feeling of feeling out of control, especially if that anger is a slippery slope into outright rage. It's sort of like if I open up that box, that door, I don't know if I can shut it again. And if I unleash all of this fury that I've built up, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm not sure what I even really want to have happen. Because it might mean that I freak out and I say a bunch of stuff and it ends a bunch of friendships or family relationships or what have you. I don't want to say things I can't unsay. And it's it's a tough line to walk. It really, really is. So I feel for you. It's a tough place to be in. So, and maybe trying to gradually explore that anger as it surfaces and, instead of kind of letting all the horses out of the barn all at one time, being okay, like what can I handle? And then pulling it back a little bit. And then what can I handle? And then pulling it back a little bit until you get more and more comfortable that you can control your anger instead of like, being dragged by a pack of wild horses, right? So, and this was a point that was discussed again in that complex PTSD book, but and I keep mentioning this because I think it's just so profound and so helpful, is that concept of emotional flashbacks. So as you're going through life, kind of what have you, and you find yourself being triggered by something, the gift in that is whenever we're triggered, it's a sign of pain, right? That's a sign of, hey, this is like, hey, over here, me, unresolved issues. Like, here I am. I'm an unresolved issue. Can you please? I need to be worked on. So once we resolve that issue, then that trigger, it goes away. It's resolved, and that's really powerful stuff. But it can take a little while to get to get to that place. So it it can be really, really challenging depending on how intense the trigger is, how intense the pain is that's behind that trigger. So as you're feeling it, and so again, I've mentioned this, like for me, what I've realized, and I probably every person's different, but I'm just going to tell you what I've noticed in me in case it is similar for you. But for me, I've noticed when I get triggered, two of the things that I notice that I do is and I can feel it. Actually, three things. I have a really hard time being quiet. I get really angry and I can feel myself saying things that I'm like, Dana, just stop talking. And I just get so angry and it's just stuff's coming out of my mouth. And even during that, I can feel like you just need to stop talking. Like you need to kind of rein it in because you're saying a bunch of stuff you can't unsay. And not maybe even not necessarily that to that extreme, but it's the realization of, oh my gosh, I don't want to be this person that has such anger and venom, because that's how it feels, like venom inside of me, I'm just dumping this whenever I'm getting triggered. Like that's not okay with me. So that's a sign for me if I'm feeling venomous and like on the attack. If I'm cussing, because I don't normally cuss, like seriously, like I'll cuss as a joke and among friends or whatever, but it's like lighthearted cussing. I don't normally cuss out of anger. So if I'm cussing out of anger, then that's a sign that I'm really being triggered. And then if the third one is that I can feel it. It's a disproportionate response to or reaction, I should say, a disproportionate reaction to what's going on in the moment. So, and it could be something Like, I don't know. I have ongoing issues with some coworkers that are well intended. Like nothing they're even doing is intended to be hurtful, but it's my perception of their actions. It's totally triggering for me, and it just brings I go from 0 to 10, and it's awful. So trying to stay aware, trying to stay present when those triggers do surface, when those signs do surface, and being like, okay, like I am not being in I'm not in the moment right now. Like I'm being triggered. This is a sign that there's this unresolved issue that I need to examine, and just try to stay present with my feelings, and to try to get more curious about them than judgmental, I guess. And to try to just rein it in and realize, Dana, like none of this is real. Like this is not even going on. This is all your perception of stuff. It's just residual stuff. That kind of helps. So I would encourage you to try to do the same. So as this stuff is surfacing, to examine it and be like, okay, what's really going on here? I don't know. It can be very powerful. Yeah, No More was saying, I've never seen you really get angry, but I have seen pain in your face when hearing certain stories of abuse or thoughts of suicide. Yeah, and they say for a lot of people, like anger is the bodyguard of pain. And I think that's very true. And how people, I think socially and culturally and probably even gender specifically, process anger is very different. I mean, I noticed this too when I was working with teenagers. By and large, with the kids I was working with, boys, again, this is not like a hard and fast rule, but like boys, if they experienced anger, tended to lash outwards. They were the ones, they were joining gangs, they were being destructive, they were kind of running amok, they were really, violent, kind of out of control. Girls, when they tend to experience, again, like by and large, not a hard and fast thing, when a lot of women or girls tend to experience anger, it's turned inwards. And generally, it comes across as depression. It comes across as feeling suicidal. It's more self harm kind of stuff. So it's cutting. You know, it's just self harm kind of stuff. Lots of love to you guys. You are not alone. You are not crazy, and you really can move forward and heal from this.